September is over. The rain has arrived. And if you hear a crunching sound in the background, that is my cat. And I decided that the sound of her eating was preferable to the sound of her begging for food. But next, books. I started September with Brizinger. I am working my way through these in preparation for Murtagh next month. And I was realizing that I have not read this series since Inheritance came out 12 years ago. And there are things that you find out in the third and fourth books that kind of affect how you think about the first couple of books. It affects how you see some of the characters. If you watched my video on Brom, that's one of the things I'm talking about. And by the time you get to book 3 in a big fantasy series like this, you know the characters pretty well. You know their motivations, but there are some things in here that kind of illuminate the characters a little more. I might make a Brizinger appreciation video in which I'll go more in depth about this, but there is a scene where Aragon and Arya are just sitting. They're spending the night before traveling, and they have a lot of deep conversation. And it kind of reminds me of when you go camping with friends and you're sitting around the fire and conversation gets way deeper than it normally does when you're not camping, sitting by a fire. It kind of just gave that feeling of these characters are getting to know each other better. It is a long chapter, no action, the plot is not moving forward, but the characters are moving forward in their friendship. So to me, it still feels like stuff is happening. And even though the book gets to feel a little long with a lot of instances like that, with character development and world building, I was not bored by it. I tend to enjoy that better when you're getting to know the character better through their interactions with other characters rather than a whole bunch of introspection. Because then it feels like things are moving forward with other characters rather than just sitting inside of a character's head. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. Hopefully I can finish the fourth one before November 7th when I'm getting Dragon book mail. And then on my Instagram and YouTube, I asked for fall book suggestions. And I simply don't have time to read everything that everyone suggests. I am sorry. I did want to pick at least one or two that were not things I would normally read. And I definitely did that. The ones that I went with, and I did post about these, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I already posted my review of this one. It was just a cute story, not a big epic fantasy. There is a woman who is a witch who has had to hide her true self, hide who and what she is, not be able to be friends with other witches, and she finally gets to be around some other witches. She finally gets to be in a place where she can kind of be herself to a certain extent. And not only that, she gets to pass on knowledge that she has gained the hard way through trial and error. She gets to share that with some other young up-and-coming witches. There's romance, the magic system is pretty good. So it was a light, fun read. I enjoyed it. And then the second one that I read from those suggestions was The Lost Apothecary. I'll be putting out my review for this one soon, and this one was less happy feeling. This was not the cute, cozy read that the Secret Society of Witches was. This one had some really deep feelings going on with the main characters, some deep struggles. Also, it's not fantasy, it's just normal fiction. It takes place over 2 different time periods, the late 18th century to modern day, and it follows characters from each of those time periods. And the apothecary used to sell good, wholesome, healthy things for women, and now the apothecary helps women in other ways by selling poisons for the men in their life that are oppressing them. And then the main character that lives in the modern day went mudlarking by the river and found a vial. She gets to solve clues to try to find where the apothecary used to be, while simultaneously trying to soul search about her life and her marriage and what she really wants to do in the future. Both of these were definitely written with a female audience in mind. So if you are not a woman, I won't say that you wouldn't enjoy these, but they're not written with you in mind. You were not the audience intended for these. But if you're not a woman and would like to gain some more understanding of women, some empathy for the women in your life, never a bad idea to read books written by women with women main characters. I did finish these with a couple days to spare before October 1st, so I did read a few chapters. Ooh. I read up to page 53 in Inheritance. You can tell it's my current read because I took the dust jacket off. I didn't get very far before October 1st. It is a hefty book. This is why I'm worried about finishing before Murtagh comes out. But I only got a few chapters in before Sunday, which is when Secret Project 4 came out. I believe this video will come out before it becomes available for everyone to purchase. And I will follow the example of Sanderson and Dragonsteel, which is that they are not saying the name of the book until it's available for everyone, not just the Kickstarter backers, because sometimes it feels like the name of the secret novel is kind of a spoiler for the secret novel. So I got that in my inbox October 1st. I'm like a fifth to a quarter of the way through, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't necessarily always like books that start with action. I like to be introduced to the plot and the characters early on, but it is Sanderson, so it's not just action. As action is happening, you are getting little clues about the world that the main character is in. You're also getting little clues about who the main character might be. So action is happening, you're kind of piecing together what's going on. And I don't know exactly what the timeline is here, but it feels like it takes place after the current Stormlight Archive timeline. It is part of the Cosmere. This is a Cosmere novel. There are world hoppers. The main character is aware of other worlds in the Cosmere and has been to a lot of them, but it's a little unclear when in time this is happening, and it feels like it has spoilers for the Stormlight Archive, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel like I would not have wanted to read this one yet if I had known. I'm gonna finish it, and I'll definitely put out a review for it and a character study for the main character, but once I finish and I make a review, I will warn people whether it will be a spoiler for Stormlight Archive and whether you or they will want to have finished book 5 of the Stormlight Archive before reading this novel. Stormlight Archive 5 comes out next year, which is not forever, but it's a little while to wait to read something. And I am slowly working my way through the Silmarillion. That's part of what inspired the Silmarillion short. Have you read the Silmarillion? Up to now, I have started it on a couple of occasions, but I am listening to the Andy Serkis narration, and that guy knows how to narrate. He knows how to deliver lines, he knows how to do voices, and even something as dry as the Silmarillion, something that can often read like a textbook, he puts in the right amount of drama and emotion to his voice. And so even though a lot of the Silmarillion is not exciting, it's still just pleasant to listen to because of who is delivering it. But if the Silmarillion has been something you've wanted to read for a while and you have a hard time getting through it, I highly recommend the Andy Serkis Audible version. And once I am done with Secret Project 4, I will get back into Inheritance. This came out 12 years ago. I have not read it since then. There is a lot that I don't remember. As I'm reading it, I'm kind of going, oh yeah, but I also haven't gotten very far. I do remember the first time I read it, feeling like it should have ended way sooner. Like there was this much extra than there should have been, maybe even more than that. And it just took so long wrapping up all the extra little details. I don't know if I'll feel that way this time. 12 years ago, I was only 24. I was a different person at that time in my life, and I might feel different about a long, lingering ending that gives me all those extra details. I might enjoy that more. I don't know. But if I manage to finish it, and I have some time left, I'm going to try to squeeze in a small classic sci-fi book, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It's only about 200 pages. It should only take a few days to read, even at my slower reading pace. It feels appropriate for the season, and sometimes after several long epic fantasies, it's nice to just read something smaller. And of course, I'll keep working my way through the Silmarillion. I might be saying that for several wrap-up videos. Feel free to share what you are currently reading in the comments, and I'll see you back here for more videos. Bye! If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear.